I welcome everybody to the February 13th Village Board meeting. I'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so first on the agenda is our county legislator, Joel Tyner, who is not present this evening, so we will bypass Mr. Tyner. And like we did in the past, we moved the public comment session. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make a comment? Having heard none, we will move past the public comment section and go directly into department reports. And the first report is our treasurer's report.
Okay, good evening. The treasurer's report is for the period of January 1st to January 31st. The tax collector's account ended the month with $1,325,599.91. The general fund ended the month with $67,951.07. The water fund ended the month with $756,611.53. And the sewer fund ended the month with $832,025.17. Vouchers presented for payment in the general fund total $112,144.47. In the water fund, $38,313.33. In the sewer fund, $54,459.22. And in the capital water improvement system, $800. And in the capital bond payment was made in the amount of $42,210. An operating statement will be provided with expenditures through February 13th, and that will be emailed to the village board members. The water and sewer adjustments have been reviewed and signed off by the water and sewer department liaisons and are presented for authorization.
I make a motion to accept the wastewater, what's the word? Adjustments as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Carried.
I move that we accept the water adjustment as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Karen, do you want to go on with the rest of the statement for your 28-19 budget?
I will. Did you want me to do the budget amendments first?
Do you want to do that? If you want,
Yep.
you can go into that.
So, budget amendments presented for authorization in the general fund. The line item for special events was increased by $250, and the expense line item for police salary was increased by $250 to reclassify police reimbursement for an escort job that they did and was paid for. In the contingency fund, decreased that by $4,938, and that's a transfer to cover over budgeted items, 3 of them. 16404.1 central garage in the amount of $586, 165004, which is the central communications, in the amount of $801, which was for additional costs for the new phone system. And in the line item 191004, unallocated insurance of $3,551. And that's from the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year is just an estimate and an estimate of what the insurance is going to be. And throughout the year, we added the 2017 Ford Explorer, and we took the Durango off, and we put the other 2, Ranger and the other 2 trucks back on it. In the water fund, We're looking to decrease the 833002 purification equipment and increase the 83204 source power pump by $5,500, and that's for auto and equipment repair. We're looking to decrease the 83404 transmission and distribution by that's the fees non-employees by $3,000, and increase the 8340412 for the $3,000 for grant application preparation. That's not covered by the grant, which is the application fee that we pay. In the sewer, we're looking to decrease the 99509 transfer to capital by $18,500, and we're looking to increase the 812002, the sanitary sewer equipment, by $8,000, and that's for the safe co-alarm system, and the 813002 for $7,500, which was for the UV system repair and replacement, as well as the 8304.02 treatment disposal fees non-employees for $3,000 for the use of camo pollution to assist with plant operations.
Any questions on the budget adjustments? I make a motion to accept the budget adjustments as so read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstained? So carried.
Okay, and for the budget 2018-19, the budget process is well underway. Department liaisons have been meeting with department heads and then scheduling to review their proposed budgets with the board. On February 6th, the police, water, and street departments reviewed their budgets line by line with the board. On February 20th, the wastewater and fire departments are scheduled to review their budgets with the board, and all is moving forward with the line-by-line review of the village budget.
Any questions? Very good. Thank you, Karen. Next, we'll go into the police reports, police and court reports. For the month of January, we had total number of incidents in the town of 25. Total number of incidents in the village was 100. Total tickets given to the in town was 20. Total tickets to the village was 111. Total of arrests was 4, and total number of accidents was 5. I just want to also report on the snow ordinance that we still is in effect from, what is it, 11 to 11 at night, I believe, during the winter month, and 25 tickets have been issued for cars parked during the evening when they should be off the streets. Just like to remind everybody that's important to keep their cars off the street at all times during the winter because of the snow ordinance, because our plows do have to get out, and it does cause a lot of extra work and a lot of time to go back and clean up if the cars are there. So appreciate everybody's support in going forward on that. Moving on with the police report, I'd also like to read in from our county executive, Marcus Molinaro, a Think Differently resolution that he would like us all to pass. So I'll just briefly read this over the past year. If you've seen it in a lot of his emails and communications, he's been running a program called Think Differently. It's an initiative to foster a welcoming and supportive environment to residents with special needs in our communities. It's been nothing short but amazing, according to our county executive, since his first response in 2016. Dozens of towns and villages, both big and small, from every corner of our state have adopted Think Differently. Think Differently resolutions, joining the efforts of the others. So at this meeting, I would also like to adopt that resolution, which I'll read into the record. If there's any questions about this, he would encourage anybody to call him directly at 845-486-2000 or to email I'm at countyexec@dutchessny.gov. I would like to read into the record the resolution for the Think Differently. So the Village of Rhinebeck and the Village Board, a resolution calling for the Village of Rhinebeck residents and business owners to adopt the Think Differently initiative to assist individuals with special needs and their families. Whereas the Think Differently initiative is about promoting awareness and acceptance of all people and advocating for the inclusion of all individuals living on the autism spectrum and with special needs. And whereas our state and communities are stronger because of our diversity and differences, and whereas, according to the Center for Disease Control, over 55 million people, or approximately 19% of Americans, have a type of disability or special need. And whereas some people with special needs, the very things that make them unique, can also keep them from on the sidelines, separate from those who might not understand their differences or uniqueness. And whereas it is important to promote and provide guidance to those with special needs on how to access publicly supported services available to them in the community. And whereas it is important to encourage and educate the community and businesses on ways they can make facilities and services more accessible, and how to train staff to welcome and support special needs customers and coworkers. And whereas the goal of this initiative is to provide a supportive and inclusive environment for individuals of all abilities by supporting community events that expand family-friendly opportunities for people with special needs and their families. And whereas adopting Think Differently, the initiative is an important statement that our village, business owners and residents can make to show their support for the differently abled children and adults with special needs and their families. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Rhinebeck residents and business owners to adopt the Think Differently initiative so that all are better prepared to communicate with, provide for, and support those living on the autism spectrum and those with special needs. I'd like to make a motion to accept this resolution into record.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Thank you all. Very important. I'd like to go into our court statement. At our last monthly meeting, we were only able to get November's records. For this month, I'd like to report both not only December and January's records for our court summary. For December, the court summary, tickets that were completed both from court sessions and mailed in for the month was 85, and revenue collected from the state was $2,815. For January, our court summary, tickets were completed for both court sessions and mailed in for the month was 133. Revenue from the state was $3,413. Are there any questions on the court? Thank you. Next, I'm going to go into our fire department. Fire department dated from February 12, 2018. For the month of January, there were a total of 96 calls. There were 23 fire calls, 66 EMS calls, and 7 motor vehicle accidents. They responded to mutual aid departments 9 times, and the ambulance did not respond to 8 calls, so the percentage was 89%. Over the next 2 months, the fire department will be utilizing the vacant building next to Dell's for firefighter training, and this allows the firefighters to simulate real-life situations for firefighting tactics. Their first drill was last night, and I think you're all familiar with the building next to the Dell's Dairy Queen. That building is being vacated and being used for fire training. So it's a series of processes that have to go through, because in order to use this, you have to prep the building. Right, so the building has been vacated, obviously, and then there's the windows and doors come out. So what they did last night was they smoked the building with a smoke machine and practiced with excavation and search and rescue, and then extracting people who were in fire, and also their response time for breaking in and locating fire and response. They had 18 members show last night for this drill. It did cause some interest as people were driving by because there's right on Route 9. There will be 2 more drills until the building is demolished, what they will be using for training practices. So I'd like to thank the owners of that building for allowing our fire department to use it for a training session. It's a valuable way to get real-life training in a real situation for their training.
How did that come about, that the fire department, or do you have an idea how that connection was made?
They contacted each other, basically, bottom
Okay.
line.
I mean, I would never think to do that, right?
Yeah, no, this is the second time. We also, the fire department also used the vacant building where the new development, the spa's going in.
Yeah, over here.
Over here, this way.
Oh, they did?
Yes,
Yeah.
they used
Where
that.
where Bing's Restaurant.
Right.
Yes,
Bing's, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
They use that for the same practice drill, and normally what they do, they invite other fire departments to participate, and it's a series of things, because as you go through it, first you can go in and do this training, but the next time you have to make sure the wiring's out and all that other kind of stuff, because then you're gonna be breaching walls and so forth, so utility gets turned off, wires get removed, it gets stripped of that kind of stuff, and then they can actually go in and they can actually do some demo of breaching walls and practice and that kind of effort. So again, our fire department is making use of resources for real simulated training, and I thank them for that. Building, planning, and zoning. Trustee Rossi.
Mr. Mayor, unfortunately, there might be a hole in the cloud. There is a placeholder here for the monthly report, but I only noticed just moments ago that the actual report is not there.
No, there was not. Can you verbalize it? Anything?
Well,
Or do you want to pass?
well, in terms of the meetings, it was actually a pretty quiet month, and the only meeting that I might be able to report on is the one that took place last Tuesday, when, of course, we were at meeting for the budget.
Yes.
So,
It's okay. We can pass and pick up on it next time.
I don't want to disappoint the audience at home.
Don't worry, I'm going to have the same thing.
Highway Department.
The Highway Department report a couple of items. Basically, the normal duties of snow removal, some upgrades on the equipment. They've been out replacing signs, cleaning up parks, and maintenance. And I do want to mention a couple other subjects that are out there. We did receive 3 bids for our highway, what do I want to call it, shared services study. The copies of those bids have gone to myself, to John Fenton, to Supervisor Spinzia, and Barry Sherrod, who's the superintendent, or who's the head of the highway department. We'll be grading those in the next week or so, and we may be able to act on them hopefully in the next week or 2. So we'll have, this is the step, just to recall, the county awarded us a grant of $45,000 with which to do a study to see how the village and the town highway department could work together more effectively. So we have a couple candidates. We're going to read the things, and we'll bring back a recommendation.
So is that the committee now?
Yeah.
We had to appoint a committee to review the bids, and so the names you gave were the committee members
Committee,
now.
correct.
Okay, I just
That's
want to make that clear that those people are on the committee for reviewing the bids.
Right.
Right, very good.
Excuse
And
me,
then-
when you get a chance, could you give me just the bidders so that I can just put it in the minutes?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Okay. I can actually,
You
I
can-
didn't realize we're going electronic. I would have given many copies of the
Later,
bids.
that's fine.
Is there a timeline?
Well, I think we can make a decision soon, and then basically, it seems the bids that I've read, they're ready to go. And if they can stick to the timeline that they're talking about, we will have a report to us by the end, I'll be a little bit pessimistic, by the end of next year. By the end of this coming year, I'm sorry, by the end of, hopefully November of this year.
Of this year?
Of this year, I'm sorry, I misspoke there.
Right.
November this year.
No. Okay. Question about the sign replacement. Do you know where they were?
I do not know.
Okay. Or what kind of signs?
I do not know.
Okay.
I can ask.
Anything else?
That is it. You want to do tree commission while I'm here?
That's going to be down in the committee reports, if you don't mind. We'll hold off on that.
Okay.
Water Department.
Okay, for January, 13,512,000 gallons treated. There were some water repairs due to the frigid weather. 6-inch main break on Star Drive, which was repaired. A valve was replaced on Hutton Street, and that valve now, I don't know if I reported this last time, but that valve now will be able to turn Hutton Street on and off, because that valve needed to be replaced. There were several service lines that were frozen for the users. And to that end, I brought this up to you guys in budget meeting. I just wanted to say that we're thinking about, we're going to order a freeze machine. So sometimes we have to trench all the way across the road to get to the water main, but the freeze machine perhaps will allow us to freeze like a 3/4 inch copper line, so they can get a fitting on it, so they don't have to trench, and maybe get a valve on it to turn it off so they can work on it at the consumer end. And we passed a resolution during one of our budget workshops that we would charge $100 every time we successfully use the freeze machine for a user. So we don't have that in yet, but we're gonna order one. The other thing that was brought up is that we're thinking about getting I just wanted to give you guys a heads up, we're thinking about getting respirators for the chlorine room, because sometimes the alarm will go off and they have to go and service the equipment. We were thinking about starting out with 2 maybe, and Brian Alex came up with a respirator that he thought was suitable for $187 a piece. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that we could order that. Maybe start out with 2, see how they work, and then get up to the point where we have, if they work well, to get 1 for each person who works there. So we don't need to go through the procurement policy to do that because it's under $500. As the mayor pointed out, the ladder in the water tank needs servicing. So Brian brought Matthews out there, and we thought maybe we could fix that next time the divers come in, which they come out like every 4 or 5 years.
Right, so
Wouldn't be this fiscal year coming up, but because it's deep, it's lower in, that we're gonna need assistance of the divers to fix the ladder,
Yeah.
and so it might be a couple grand,
right.
ballpark estimate.
So it's not this year, you're thinking the
Right,
following year.
right, so it would be, yeah, or the year thereafter, so, just to give you a heads up.
I was thinking of making that tape of the water tank available to the public,
Yeah.
and maybe sending it to
Do you
Panda.
have some video of it? or-
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay.
We have a live video of our divers that I was going to release to Panda to show, so that people can actually see the inside of our reservoir, see the condition of it, and report that it's kind of cool. You get this, I mean, it's a dive, it's not too exciting, but, you know, how often do you see inside a 1-million-gallon tank, right?
Right.
And see what it's like. So I'd like to make that available to Panda, and I'll get that to you. Wastewater.
Wastewater, there's no official report, John, so don't feel bad. But I just want to report that we're having discussions with the employees on our new coverage. And last Friday, John Fenton and I met with Safeco Security Systems to go over a few things that were installed down there. Cameras there. We have a couple quotes for a few things that the mayor wanted to add. The lockbox for the DVR. That's going to cost an additional $650.
So currently, it's not.
It's not locked.
You're right. So the point here is anybody has accessibility to the tape. And the procedure really should be that this should be secured in a secure location, so if access is needed, it only can be controlled by
Right.
those who have the key. And
Right.
I hope you're all in agreement with
Yeah, absolutely.
protecting that tape.
Without it, the rest of the investment, this is kind of meaningless.
Right.
We're very
If
vulnerable.
it gets destroyed, yes.
Yeah.
The lockbox can be mounted up on a wall. So it's away from, somebody would have to actually go up there on a ladder to get to it, but it would be locked up, and I guess John would have the key, or you would have the key?
We'll have to decide.
Yeah, we'll decide who has the key.
We'll decide who has the key.
Yeah.
I
But-
thought it was you, because you're the liaison.
Okay, I'll take the key. But currently, there is a camera there, and it's pointed towards the gate, in case anything happens. And it's like a 23-day cycle. It's constantly recording up to 23 days. So there's also an option to have it on a motion sensor, where you can point the camera to a certain area, and once the gate opens, it could trigger the camera.
I
So-
thought that's the mode we were operating in, was in motion sense mode.
Well, not currently, but we
Okay.
can have that changed,
We should,
because then it's like
for a long
a
time.
long time, yeah.
So I would prefer motion
Yeah.
sense mode,
Okay,
if you agree.
yeah, John and I kind of agreed to that. So that would be an extra $650 for the lockbox. And then there's also an option for $10 a month for monthly reports when the place is open, when the door is opened inside the office, when they punch in. We can get a monthly report for that to see who's punching in.
We have that. Don't we have that already?
Isn't that what
with-
a punch-in is for?
Yeah, we already have that through their lock, through the recording feature, I thought.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Okay.
This is what he sent me, so if we already have that, we don't need
I
that.
believe we have
Okay.
that covered.
Okay, then there's also the Sensaphone tie-in to a security panel. The Sensaphone it operates, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong with this. When one of the systems goes down, it calls one of the guys. Right now, it only calls one person. We want it to be set up so it calls up to 6 different people.
Well, all right, so I'll amend what you're saying a little bit. So the Sensaphone is the the existing system that was used for alarm call-outs at the wastewater treatment plant. And there's motor controls, sensor controls, flow controls. There's over half a dozen controls that go into the Sensaphone, and they're triggered based on faults within the system. The Sensaphone then is programmed to dial one of our operators. And if one of our operators, their voicemail picks up, it will leave a message, but that's all it does to the voicemail. If nobody picks up, it will continuously to try, but if an answering machine picks up, it believes that it
satisfied, yeah,
it's
right,
as a
right,
live person.
right.
So we had discussed this originally when we put the alarm sensor in, that we wanted as many automated features we can to, if there's an alarm condition, to be notified in a timely fashion. Because we have had alarms go off where it's taken a while to respond because of the alarm. The Sensaphone, it's very easily to be able to have it tie into the Safeco alarm system, so it calls the alarm company, right?
Right.
And then the alarm company will then start its procedure till it physically talks to a live person, which it will go through a sequence. The operator, to our DPW superintendent, to a trustee, to me, and just keep, until it gets somebody, it'll continue. So it gives us more a sense of control over what's happening down there. So we're tying in the old with the new.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Smart.
And that's, would cost $525 to have that set up. These were things that we didn't originally do, so as we went along here, we wanted to add these features to make the place more secure.
That sounds like an important feature.
Yeah.
Both of them, do you agree? The
Oh.
lockbox and the Sensaphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No question. Both of them.
So I make a motion to
Yeah, please do.
add these 2 features as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion?
Thank you, Howie.
Abstain? So carried. Thank you. Thank you, Howie.
You're welcome.
For no report, that was pretty good.
Oh, thank you. One more thing. Just want to report, we're having a pre-budget meeting with the wastewater department with Karen on Friday.
Yes, we'll
And then-
see it line by line at the next one.
And the results will be presented next Tuesday night.
Very good.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to accept all of the department reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Thank you. Now, trustee, you can have the tree.
Okay. I was at the tree committee meeting. There were no applications for tree removals, so we have nothing to act on. I can say that the tree committee has been really busy picking out the sites and contacting homeowners for this spring's tree planting day. I think they have something like 20 sites that are picked out. They have a lot. Right now, they are securing permission from the homeowners, working through the logistics, and even though it's kind of cold and gloomy out and the trees are dormant, they're working really hard to get ready for this spring planting. So no official actions, but these guys are out there working quite hard.
How many trees do you believe there will be? Any estimate?
Right now they're talking about 20,
Wow.
which I don't think all of those will wind up in there, but those are candidate slots.
And will be any of them in the brow beyond the right of way?
Yes, some of those will be garages.
Okay.
And that's part of what they're out securing, because we have an agreement now, we've established an agreement between the homeowner and the village, such that the village can maintain the tree for the first couple of years to make sure that it's established, then it becomes the responsibility of the homeowner. We simplified that process, so basically it's just a signature to an agreement. The homeowner and the mayor are the parties to the agreement.
Very good. Looking forward to it. I love doing that. It's a fun time. Is that it?
Yes.
Ethics Committee.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report on.
There's no ethics.
Has the Ethics Committee ever met?
Yeah.
Good. All right, super. Short-term vacation rental committee.
So we have a draft ready to present to the public. We talked about having a workshop next Thursday, which is February 22nd at 7 o'clock. So we will have the draft probably on the web tomorrow, if that's the proper terminology, on the webpage tomorrow.
And we'll email it as well.
And we'll send it out, so.
Yeah. All
So
right.
that's, I'm happy that we got that milestone behind us, so.
Very
It's
good.
a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it is. So, public workshop, February 22nd, here, 7 o'clock.
And just so everyone knows that short-term rental, this is the bed and breakfast issue, so that's, kind of common terminology for it. So that's going to be the discussion about where the code is headed with the treatment of bed and breakfast rentals, Airbnbs in particular, and those types of issues.
Okay,
7 o'clock on the
Pardon?
22nd, 7
Yeah.
o'clock.
22nd, yes. Public workshop.
The first of 2 or 3, right?
We'll see, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
How many we need. We'll see how many it takes. All right, and environmental committee report. It actually was a busy month this past month for the environmental committee. One of the things that happened, there was another meeting which Brand attended for us with the other municipalities that are working on the same agreement for source water protection. And these are all the municipalities that draw their drinking water from the Hudson River, right? And which is 100,000 people locally that do that. At that meeting, there was discussions for a review, actually a discussion and a review of establishing an intermunicipal agreement between the 7 municipalities on how we would all work together and collaborate on doing source water protection and sharing of information, et cetera. So it is actually moving along very well. Well enough that, in fact, what was done was they've established through not only the intermunicipal agreement, but the scorecard, which we've talked about before, which is the scorecard assessment of all of the treatment plants that are around. They've compiled that report and have established the first 10 steps for source water protection, have a review of recommendations that are needed, and they are scheduling for later this month, and I believe the date will be February 26th. I'm not quite sure where, but it's possibly going to be at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Plant for a press release on the announcement of the scorecard report and the progress that has been made by this collaboration of 7 communities on source water protection, which is really fantastic. And after their press release, I've invited River Keepers and the Director of Water Protection, Dan Shapley, to make a presentation to the board, and he will make a presentation on March 13th at our next board meeting about the progress that have been made. So that's a lot of activity, and thank you, Brant, for attending
So
the
we
meeting.
should have, I would assume we're gonna have the intermunicipal agreement prepared by then for adoption by this board. so,
Hopefully.
yeah.
The other major activity that's been taken on by the Environmental Committee, if you remember, there was the 5 silos, there's the energy, there's water, transportation, et cetera, and one of them was waste. And we've been talking a lot, I mentioned in the past, about food waste, and food waste being a very high impact item for the environment. And the amount of food that's wasted, it's not really the food, it's food that's wasted, but also it's in the composition of the food and everything else that goes along with it. There's 2 aspects that we've been talking about in food waste. One is basically education aspect, which tells people from a food waste perspective how to, be more conscious of food waste. But the second is providing a collection for food waste. Other communities have done it, and have done this quite successfully. And what happens is with the food waste is it gets turned into a product. And that product can then be, which is organic soil that can be used to give back to the residents for their gardens or for the town garden center or for whatever. But essentially, we can create a product if we move forward with this. So we started a discussion, and we met with a company called Community Compost Company out of New Paltz, who is actually looking for a new home to establish their food processing. And this would be possible, a combined effort between the village and the town, where essentially the town may have the land for them to be able to do that processing, but the village has most of the material. So it's kind of a win-win. We have restaurants, we have schools, we have other places, we have homes, we have hospitals, et cetera, where a food waste could be collected. This food waste gets combined with the other commodity that we collect, which is brush, leaves, et cetera, which we collect a lot of. It gets aerated for about 21 days, and in 21 days it becomes soil. And then that
Really,
soil,
21 days?
yes, it's an aerated process, and it turns over very quickly, and it composts very quickly, and then the output of that is soil. I've discussed with Ulster County Resource Recycling Center, right on the other side of the river, who is currently doing this process. They have fee haulers that come in and they produce a product, and they actually sell the product in Ulster County. I'm not sure where we're going to go, how we're going to do it, but I just want to let everybody know that this is a very high impact item that we're pursuing, and between the town and the village, the environmental committee is working on doing this. So the end result we would provide food waste recycling services possibly, and then hopefully create a product which is an organic soil that we can give back. I'm very excited about all of these ventures in terms of the environmental committee and where we're going. Any questions?
Where would the facility be for the,
Possibly a transfer station is where it would be. So the town, if we go down this path, and again, I just want to make sure that everybody knows, we're in the exploratory phase of this. Nothing is committed about how we do it. But if this were the company we were to partner with, there's others, but they would run the facility or the place where the recycling process is being done. They would also, within the village, and what they like about the village, and they wrote us a nice letter after we met with them, is that we have all aspects of this program covered. We have density from within the village for a collectible. We have a possible location for the place to be. We have a community that is viewed as being a very interested player in wanting to do recycling and have this. So we'll see where this goes.
The facility, and this may be a premature question, just so curious about the ability to convert this or compost in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
And that's what the firm...
That's what they tell me. I've not seen it, but 21, it's like 21 days.
Yeah.
And it's rotated, aerated, and just keeps turning, and I may be wrong. I could possibly be wrong about the time, but that's what I've been quoted.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
But the main product is, I like the fact that we can make a product, if that's great, but I also like the fact that we're reusing.
Yes.
It's the reusing portion that is important to me. We're not throwing stuff away, we're making use of it and doing something with it and recycling. It's one of the biggest items in the world that gets destroyed, and we will bring in a formal presentation on this when we get much further
That's great.
along on this process. So the Environmental Committee is doing, for a small group, we're getting a lot accomplished.
That's terrific, yeah.
Any other questions? Good. Parks Committee.
The only thing I have to report is I presented the county with all our evidence that when we originally hired our engineer, that we interviewed the requirements for a minority-based firm, which was one of the county's requirements when we have this grant, that we can use our current engineer, because we did go through that process. So I dropped off all that paperwork probably 2 weeks ago now down at the county, and I called them today and they haven't gotten back to me yet, so I'm just waiting for that answer, official answer. But as far as the Legion Park grant, the engineers have started working on it. Their initial...
I call it the Crystal Lake Grant, but
Right,
Yeah.
right. Their initial assessment that they have to do, whatever it's called, they've started that, so.
Good.
Well, no matter what happens with the county's decision, we have to get the project going, so. That's it.
good, thank you. Grants Committee.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, my committee and I did have a brief meeting on January the 25th. I posted, of course, minutes from that meeting, and there's at least one element of it that I want to expand on just briefly this evening. But during the course of this meeting, I referenced the goals for 2018. One goal is to become more acquainted with the monies and grants that are available through the New York State Empire Development Group, which is different than some of the grants that we've been looking at through the New York State Grants Gateway. And the Empire Development Group has a regional office for all the counties throughout all the regions throughout the state, and our regional office is in New Windsor, and I'm trying to get together with the folks there. And the purpose of getting together in person is I want to make sure that we stay ahead of these opportunities and not have anything pass us. And that gives me a good segue to the next item that I want to talk about a little bit more, which is the NYSERDA grants. And where are we, and what does the blueprint for 2018 look for with NYSERDA monies? And to jump to the punchline, it is not what we would have hoped for. There are grant monies, but the NYSERDA program is based on these 10 high-impact items that the governor and the state motivate municipalities, towns, villages to pursue. And there are 10 high-impact items. They're referred to as the clean energy community. So a village, a town, a county wants to put itself on the path to establishing itself as a New York State clean energy community. You've got 10 high-impact items that you want to pursue. And the state uses money, grants, to motivate all of us to do this. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's good, and they've been successful. What's not so good is that because of that success, there isn't as much money now. So you might recall that we had talked when we had, many months ago, folks from NYSERDA come and present to us, share with us, well, here's been the historic footprint, we'll know more at the start of the new year, how 2018 will play out. So in the past, towns, villages that were able to achieve 4 of the 10 high-impact items picked up money each time they accomplished one of these goals. And at the closure of the 4 achievements, that's where there was a huge payoff. And how much? 50,000 to 100,000. I'm fairly confident that Red Hook got 50,000, it might have been 100,000. I mean, it's all public information. Rosendale had gotten 50,000. Wappinger Falls, I believe, got 100,000. So the good news is that the program is still in place because the high-impact items matter. The not-so-good news is that if you achieve the 4 in 2018, that money is $5,000. So quite a reduction in the financial incentives to do this. We should still do it because we want to pursue this just because it's certainly consistent with the mayor's environmental committee and this entire board's desire for clean energy and a green community. But the payoff, I shouldn't say payoff, but the opportunity is a tenth of what it historically was. So where are we in terms of the pursuit of at least the 4 high-impact items? One of them, we of course, actually 2 of them we're working on. The electronic vehicle charging stations, once that's completed, funded, and provisioned, that will give us a notch on the 4. The LED street initiative that we're involved in, that looks more long-term. We don't get credit until we finish or complete the initiative. So that one we're working on, but it's a little further out there. I think Rick is probably safe to say.
Give a little report there.
One that we could do, quickly is establishing a resolution that would support a single-page document that has already been adopted by almost all of our neighboring municipalities, and it's known as the Unified Solar Permit. And it's, I shouldn't say the resolution would be 1 page, and the document itself is 7 or 8 pages. And I have copies that we could begin to benchmark off of from Saugerties and New Paltz, Red Hook. The town of Rhinebeck, by the way, did this, but they did the version that is no longer NYSERDA approved. So the good news is that the town actually did pass a resolution, but they really do need to change out. They won't get the credit for the high impact that this represents. But I think there's something that we want to do. I only got a copy of it today, and I'll make it my business to review and socialize with the entire board, and of course with John Fenton. But that one is something that I think we could achieve pretty quickly, and I think we want to do. By the way, last year, if we were working on it, it's been around for a couple of years, there was an incentive from the state. Yeah, do this one, and you get $2,500 cash. That's gone also. So I think we should still do it.
I agree.
We can't, if we are serious about this and we would like to get at least the $5,000, because guys, board, I would say that chances are we're sitting here next year, the $5,000 won't be there. And then the other incentive is this one that involves benchmarking, which I'm not going to spend more time talking about, but I did have an extended conversation with our contact from Mid-Hudson Council that worked on this, Europa McGovern, and we went through all of them. It's not that I was gravitating to the ones that seemed easy, but I was gravitating to the ones that seemed very doable in this calendar year, so we can get at least that $5,000. So a little disappointing, because I thought that there would have been continuity with the program as everyone has known it these last couple of years. So,
Welcome to 2018.
yes, right, it may be
But if we do achieve these, it puts us in better position for applying for other energy grants.
oh, yes,
So it's not we've lost,
no,
we maybe missed out on a payment, but there's still opportunity now of having achieved these to go after additional energy saving grants.
right.
That's done.
If our loan objective was to just pick up funds here and then we shouldn't be at this at all.
Right.
So there are still incentives, they're just not anywhere as robust as they were. By the way, this speaks well of the state's desire to move its municipalities, villages, and towns and counties in the direction of a green economy, in the direction of a cleaner climate. And I guess to some extent, they're saying, well, we've got a lot of you guys, a lot of the municipalities are already wrapped up.
Look at what we've done this year. So far this year, we put us on the path for, as a board, voting on doing the NYSERDA Clean Energy Community. So that's, in itself, we declared that this is an initiative that we want. As Trustee Rossi mentioned, we started the process for EV chargers. We've also done a solarized program, so we can get credit for the solarized program that we've done. And Trustee Lewitt's working on the LED street lighting, and if we do the unified solar permit, we are well on the way of being able to qualify for this very quickly. So
Right.
I'm very pleased with the progress that we're making.
Yeah. Yes, the advancements that we've been able to achieve in the past 12 months have made up a lot of the lost ground. But again, the big carrots are not there. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be continuing to work on those. So.
But the unified solar permit is something that we want to pursue.
Yes, very much so, yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Let me just say one thing. We are a climate-smart community. We're registered as a climate-smart
Yeah.
community.
Yes.
Which we did back when we got the solar panels on the roof.
Right, but we weren't registered as the NYSERDA Clean Energy Community and on track for the 10 high-impact items.
Right, I don't think that was around back then.
Probably not.
No.
So, but it's been around for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Howie, you're right. I mean, if we did not have that status, when you do these applications like we did for the electronic vehicle charging stations, you've got to be able to demonstrate that you've achieved that at some point.
Right.
And so I literally.
I wasn't sure if you were aware of that.
Oh, yeah,
'cause that's
yeah.
a feather in our cap, too, when we apply for different grants.
Yes, in fact, I would say it's more than a feather, it's a requirement.
Oh.
I literally went to the website that you're describing, did a screen capture,
Yeah.
turned it into a PDF, and that was part of our submittals for the electronic vehicle charging stations. So that, yes,
Okay.
Yeah, good thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's one more committee that we recently added that is not on here, and I'm just going to mention it now as the Park Committee. And Trustee Trout and myself are now running a Parks Committee, kind of semi-informally, but we're both going off and investigating ways to improve parking within the village. No, I should say not only parking, but parking and loading zones.
Yeah, delivery
Right?
zone, yeah.
We're combining those two aspects together.
Right.
So,
So we have to get together with Pete Dunn.
yes.
And I have a few areas where I have some ideas of where there could be loading zones. I spoke to Gary before that. I informally have asked some of the business owners, what their ideas on this would be, and they don't want to lose any more parking spaces.
Right.
So
I don't think anybody wants to lose any
to
parking.
permanently have loading zones they don't want that.
But the morning time zone, is that a problem in every case?
Well, like with the bagel shop, it would be.
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then in the afternoon, you have the restaurants.
Yeah.
But I have a few ideas where it might have low impact on the regular parking that we have.
Right. And we're also pursuing, as we mentioned before in the past, additional parking. And, Trustee Trout has mentioned it to the Park Committee, that we're pursuing the Phase 3 parking lot that's across from the library
Right.
as a possible, not fully paved, encapsulated, blacktop, but to go in there and do something in a way that we can create a parking lot. I have met with the director of the library, Steve Cook, who is very excited about this because it gives them a way to offset the parking needs at the library that they so desperately need as well. So and I've also met with the town in terms of getting their input for how we can possibly develop that, along, and they're in agreement. Howie has talked to the park committee, but we have to go through the process. This is still just talking
Right,
stages
exploring.
in terms of where we're going, but there's opportunity for us to possibly improve parking. Now that we have a sidewalk on West Market Street,
Right.
it's a connection point.
Right.
So, again, one of the things you and I need to do is go there with parties and stake it out, so to
Yes,
speak.
yes,
Right, so that's on our agenda from park committee to pursue,
okay.
right?
Very
So
good.
we're exploring all aspects of this, so with that committee. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, that ends our committee reports. I have nothing on peddling permits to present, no request for peddling permits this month, and no, probably for the first time in the board meeting that I can think of, no event or special requests,
Whoa.
for the first time, so. Other business. I do have some other business, and this is a letter dated February 9th from the Dutchess County Agricultural Society and the Rhinebeck Fire Department Entertainment, Inc., and J&S Concessions. So basically, this is an application for the New York State Liquor Authority for permission to sell beer and wine at the events listed below, which are at the fairgrounds. So we're talking about events at the fairgrounds. That during these events, beer and wine will be sold for on premises for consumption within fenced areas. The Liquor Authority has requested acknowledgement from the Village of Rhinebeck that you are aware of the above events and the proposed sales. The sales will occur during the following dates: August 21st to the 26th for the Dutchess County Fair, the Dutchess County Agricultural Inc., which will be run by the Dutchess County Agricultural Society, the Rhinebeck Fire Department, and J&S Concessions, and they will be applying for permits to do that. They would like to pick up our letter, so it's a formal response to make as part of their permit application process. Is there any questions about
I
this?
have a question.
Sure.
Could we make sure with regard to the fire department concession that we're additional insured on their dram shop insurance? Because there's such a close tie between Rhinebeck Fire Department, Inc. and the village, I want to make sure that we're covered also.
So you want to, sure, that's a good
Because they
point.
obviously I'm sure they have dram shop insurance, but I just wanted to make sure that the village is additional insured.
Good question. I can follow up on that.
Thanks.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this if we are additionally insured. Is everybody
Sure, yes.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, I will
have to-
follow.
I have to recuse myself
Okay.
because my company sells the
Oh,
the
okay.
beer and the alcohol to the
Very
fair.
good. Well, that you can do. Sorry, so I will follow up on that and let everybody
Thanks.
know that whether it is or is not, and we are listed as additionally insured for that. And if then we will list that letter. Very good.
Is there new business or not? Or-
Pardon?
I just want to give a report on the LED streetlight.
Oh, sure, you can go into that.
Okay, so on Monday, there was a webinar that was led by the town of Red Hook and Pat Courtney Strong, who's the consultant to Red Hook and for the process of conversion of LED streetlights. Basically, when we left off in the fall, the town of Red Hook was acting as the lead. They had put out an RFP, and 3 proposals came back to the town of Red Hook, and they were evaluated. One was from the New York Power Authority, and then 2 were from private companies. basically at the webinar, it came out, or it was discussed that the RFP was pretty technical, and there are a lot of things to satisfy, and none of the bidders really hit all the elements. So there were some concerns about costs and concerns about coverage, some technical aspects that seem to be left out. So basically, what's happening is the consultant to the town of Red Hook is going back to New York Power Authority, the other two vendors, is going to hammer out some more details, see what they can do, and then we'll probably have another meeting Red Hook will hold another meeting to decide how they want to move forward. I think they were hoping to move a little quicker on this, but because it's such a complicated process with ownership of lights and all the elements and making sure, a big part of this is making sure that we have coverage if and when a streetlight does fail, that we have response time and all those elements. And some of that stuff just was not really buttoned down in these in one of the proposals. So it's ongoing. We don't have a timetable from Red Hook or a consultant, but I think they want to move along. I think that the consultant is only paid for through the end of 2018.
So I guess we gotta do it.
Yeah, and it's the state that's paying them, so they got to get it done. But just a little update there.
Okay, next item on the agenda, I'd like to, minutes approval for the budget meetings on 1/30/2018 and the budget meeting on 2/6/2018, which have all been distributed. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from those meetings.
Second.
Any discussion, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, budget meeting is accepted, thank you very much. Correspondence, I do not have any correspondence, right?
No, everything you covered.
No correspondence this month? That as well. Any other business from anybody else? I would like to make a motion then to go into executive session.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to close the executive session.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? I'd like to make a motion then to go back into the regular session and close the regular session meeting for February 13th, 2018. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you.